Hey everybody, this is Volen in Pursuit of Art. I wanted to give you a little update on what's going on behind the scenes. I'd made a video before saying that I'm really not doing a great job of showing you what it is that I do, what I struggle with, and how I get better. I really don't want to create this image that I don't struggle with anything, I don't have any problems at all. Doing art for 4 years every day has just been kind of one fun day after the other. I didn't really struggle with anything. I didn't have any problems with anything. Everything just kind of came to me. I have it all figured out. That's really not the image that I want to portray. And that's really not how it happens in reality. And the reason why I'm showing you something like the sketchbook, where you have like 4+ years of me sucking, really, and a record of that sucking so that anyone, when they start, could just refer to that and like, hey, look at that guy. Look at where he was. Look at what he could do now. So if that's possible, I could probably do better. Really, that's the whole point of the channel, of the blog, of the sketchbook, of everything that I get to show you guys. And right now, I think is a good time to give you a little bit more of that. So beginning of this month, we're in December right now, I had to really increase my hours at work and I had to just drop everything that I was doing here. I knew I had to drop it because when I had to double my hours, pretty much, there was nothing I could do to be able to keep up the same pace of work and also get everything done at the same time. So instead of trying to struggle to basically put some new routine in place, I decided that I'm just gonna drop everything, just go to work and then come back home. And after being gone for like 12, 13 hours, I'll just take some time and maybe read a book, do something that I don't normally do, take a little break from doing art stuff. I still had things that I had to do, like the mentorships, and I do a little bit of research here and there. I couldn't really stop myself completely from doing stuff, but it was very minimal. And after about a week or two, I really just felt like I'd lost my practice when I would ask myself, what it is that I do when I'm not at work. So when I come back home, what do I do exactly? Like I do this art thing, I do like drawing and I do 3D and I do like designing things, and that's what I do when I'm not there. Like I've been doing that for a long time. Like really, it didn't really feel like I'd almost done that ever. So it was surprisingly easy to just drop something and get out of the habit of practice. And I'm talking about this because I get that comment very often that, hey, I'm either not sure what to practice, which right now is one of the problems because when I dropped everything that I do, I also dropped all the goals. I pretty much dropped the things that I was thinking about. And in a couple weeks, I kind of forgot about them. I wasn't really sure what it is that I'm going for. So a lot of times when people give me that comment of, I'm not sure what to do, I'm not sure what to do right now. I really need to figure out what the big picture is right now for what it is that I'm doing, where I am right now, if I'm practicing the right stuff, and why I was doing it in the first place. And even why am I even doing art, right? What's the point of all this stuff? And really, ever since I started, I've had this idea that forgetfulness is pretty much your biggest enemy because you will learn stuff that's incredibly important. You will learn very valuable info, and then you'll really just forget about it. You just wake up the next day or 2 days later, and that big realization that you had, it may just intellectually still be there. Like you may be able to remember the words of what you realized, but you're really not acting on it anymore. It's really not visceral anymore. It's not this embodied thing. It's more like just, yeah, that's another cool idea that I could do someday, when I get some time and, there's this cool thing on TV right now. I'll do important, life-changing things later. So a couple of weeks of just going straight into work, it was really easy to just be at work and feel like, hey, I'm kind of okay just doing this stuff. I really don't mind. Like I could definitely spend my time just doing this stuff over and over and over, and it really doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Whereas normally, when you're deep in practice mode, when even like a half an hour or an hour gets taken away from you, you're kind of pissed off. Like you actually have stuff to do. You can't be distracted by whatever it is that's going on. You need to get this thing done. It's visceral. You're not just intellectually, oh, my practice isn't finished until 2:15, darling, please leave. It's not like that. You just have to get it done. It's like, hey, get away from me. Now is not the time. I have 35 more minutes. then we can put out the fire in the bathroom. I don't know how it started in the bathroom. Leave me alone right now. We'll do it in 35 minutes. It's a different way of practicing, of being. So since the last video I recorded was how everything is built, I thought it'd be appropriate to do a video now where I actually have to build something. So this is me kind of dropping the ball, taking some time off, which, by the way, let me just sneak it in here, that is, I don't really necessarily think that it's a bad thing to actually let go of everything every once in a while, because normally when you're deep in practice mode, you have to have narrowed down the things that you do so much that you can just focus on one thing, or the one or two things that you're doing, just a very minimal amount of tasks that you're doing. So you'd better have planned properly that those one or two things are the important things, and that you're not just doing something for 3 to 6 months and then you kind of just realize that that's not the thing that I thought I was doing. That's not really important. That was fun, kind of, when actually, no, you know what? It wasn't fun, but I was so sure I had to do that I did it for so long. But I made a mistake, I realize now. Very sorry. So taking a break from stuff actually allows you to see the big picture. And that thing that you may have seen that I was working on previously, the artist blueprint, that's an attempt to also give you a bigger picture, whether you're just starting out or if you've been doing this for a while but you're not sure what to do. So by the way, I've also dropped that too, because I couldn't focus. Like, I was trying to record it as I was going to work, and that's when I realized I have to just really not do anything but one thing, because I had to record something, go away for 12 hours, come back and try and remember, okay, well, what was I talking about? Why was that important? So really it's a twofold thing that happens there. When you're deep in practice mode, you can really do one thing and you can have the implications of that problem just deeply embedded in your brain and ready to fire. So that means that you're ready to work on that problem. You have all the different circuits that are required for that brain are active because you've been using them, and you can really build the next piece of whatever it is that you're doing. That's the great part about deep practice, is that you engage so deeply and you're in ready state mode, and you can just jump right in there and you can try and dig deeper and get to the next piece and get to the next piece. When you zoom out though, and when you're not doing anything, you can actually ask yourself of, why am I even doing this in the first place? It's kind of like you're down in a rabbit hole and you're just digging that thing up and you're trying to get as far as you can get through in like 3-6 months, and then you go back out of the rabbit hole. You look around like, why am I even hanging out in the forest? I should go and like get a job or like live in an apartment or something. Why am I digging rabbit holes? So you may decide that you may want to make a big picture change, and you can only do that when you're actually not stuck deep in there. Because when you're in the rabbit hole, big picture changes seem like, I'm not going to use this pencil, I'm going to use this pencil today. That's a good decision. So you're really not able to see the pieces. You're not able to see the big picture when you're way down in it. So dropping everything, I don't necessarily think was a bad thing. It gave me some time to read. It gave me some good recharge time. Actually going to work for like being away from the house for about 12 hours a day and not doing stuff all the time, and just being able to hang out for like a couple hours after work, that felt pretty relaxing. Like just doing one thing that was almost my Christmas holiday, was just going to work all the time. That felt like a holiday to me. So I think over the next couple weeks, it's really going to be rebuilding time. And that's why I'm recording this, because really the problems, or what happens, the consequences from the things that I've been doing, if I just flip those, I'm pretty sure that I can actually reverse engineer what makes for a good practice. And since I've had routines before, and I've always had to establish those to be effective, then I'm pretty sure that over the next couple weeks, I'm going to get to build up a practice again, and also do a little follow-up for you guys and show you what my routines are going to be, what I'm thinking of doing, and how I think that I'm actually going to get there. So I'm going to do a little follow-up to this. This is basically the losing part and what went wrong in terms of establishing a practice, because this is something that I very commonly get. I don't know how to practice, or I'm not sure what I'm doing, or I can't stick with things, or I'll do like 15 minutes or 20 minutes and then I get bored. I get a variation of that question very often. So really right now I'm experiencing those same things. Actually, for a couple weeks I've almost done nothing. So when I had to try and get back into it, I had to ask myself, well, okay, what am I doing exactly? And I just went to draw for like 30 minutes. After that 30 minutes, I was pretty much already. I'd identified some new problems. I knew what I had to improve on there with just sketching and drawing and designing. So I had some new stuff that I could work on. It just took me 30 minutes to do a little bit of something, journal and think about it in order to have a new little thing if I want to get in on that. So if I wanted to improve a design perspective, I could have this new thing now that I could explore and I could look around. I didn't really feel like doing that 30 minutes though, but taking that one step, taking the small step, really offered me after that an opportunity, if I wanted to really continue in that direction. And maybe I'll integrate that into the practice, maybe not. So I did something, took a small step, did some analysis, figured out what I could do, and I immediately have a small little practice that I could establish just around that if I wanted to. So some lessons basically from losing the practice. The first thing that went is the routine. So as soon as the routine went away, everything disintegrated. And it was also very quick to get into the new routine. So routine is pretty much imperative. I try and set up my days to kind of be almost the same day over and over and over. And I just try and be better at that one day. So I try and practice better. I try and record my videos better. I try and just do everything in the same sequence, and I just can improve on that day. Because if every day is different, then you can never really be able to control what it is that gets done in the day. And you might feel like you've done a lot because you may have had a lot of activity go on, but at the same time, you might just be fooling yourself just because you had a ton of stuff to do and maybe not a lot of it was useful, right? So basically not mistaking busyness for effectiveness. Am I doing the correct things, or am I just keeping busy because I just have a lot of stuff that I have to do? Is it important stuff or is it not? And if it's not important, it pretty much gets cut. So you can establish a routine, because everything that gets measured gets managed. So whatever you can measure, you can manage that. But if you can't measure it, if you're doing different things every day, and if your day goes differently every day, you can't really measure effectively. You can't really see if you're getting any better at your practice. So just the meta, the big picture. Is my practice actually getting better? Did I get to work on time? Did I focus well as I was doing stuff? Was I distracted? Was I playing a lot of music or like a movie or something else and I couldn't really focus on what I was doing? So am I just getting better at the actual practice? Not what I'm doing in the practice, but just practicing. Am I getting better at practicing? Am I getting better in my work ethic, in my discipline, in doing what I'm supposed to do even when I don't feel like it? So am I getting better at that stuff? And then just, am I getting better at the skills that I'm practicing? Is it effective what it is that I'm doing? So having the same day, developing a routine, and kind of just going through it and examining. So that will be number 2 probably in terms of importance of what's going on. Number 1 would be the routine, so having to establish that. Number 2 would be just journaling, figuring out the big picture. When I have to set up a practice or figure out even what to do next, it really just, I don't just do stuff and it comes to me as I do stuff. You actually have to spend a lot of time on your practice. You also have to spend a lot of time on developing your practice, thinking about it, changing it, making it better, more efficient. So journaling, analyzing, thinking about it, that's really crucial. Without the analysis, you really can't extract the lessons from what it is that you're doing. Everything is guided. Nothing just kind of comes to me from divine inspiration and it tells me what software to learn or what the next thing is that's going to teach me about design or what course I should take next. No, it's the practice takes a long time and the analysis of the practice takes a long time. A lot of people, I think, don't like or just don't see the value of the analysis, and that's great because that means that if people aren't willing to do something, but you will, if you're not sure if you can be better at art, you can analyze them. And over the long term, if they're not doing it, but you're constantly implementing little strategies into your game, you will come up with something interesting. It's just inevitable. I'm going to say the third one here, which is related to the analysis really. I would say the third one is why? Why even do it in the first place? What's your why for what you're doing? Which means not only that you have to have a big idea of why you do your art and your practice in the first place. Why is it that you're doing it? And what is it that you want from it, right? Do you want to be communicating some sort of idea? Do you want to be a storyteller? Are you interested in design? Just what about you is aligned with what it is that you're doing. And also the micro of that, which is, hey, why are you practicing that tool that you're practicing right now? Is this aligned with your big why? So those two, the macro and the micro, are those aligned? Is this what you want to be doing? And if so, then why are you doing this? And if they're aligned, if they're in the same direction, that's great, because that'll give you the fuel and also the confidence to know that I want to end up over there. And these things are just basically lined up. So if I execute on these, this is where I'll go. And again, you can't know these with certainty, right? It's good if you can throw these against someone, see what they say, see if they give you feedback, if they have a bigger picture view than you do at the moment. So someone with a bit more experience, it's great if they can help you with the technical stuff, but no one can help you with, hey, what is it that you want to do? And that's more important. And it's harder to figure out and it takes time. But the more that you can ensure that you have clarity, that you know where you want to end up, and you're constantly course correcting, you're constantly checking if your macro and your micro, if they're on the same page, if you're aligning them, if your today, if your routine, and you can see how these line up, right? So the why would actually come first. So you first figure out what is it that you want to do, why you're doing it, where you want to end up, and then you, through analysis, you figure out what are the steps that are going to get you there, and then the routine gets built final. So when I was telling you guys what went wrong, I was essentially going in back order, because for me, the first thing that went was the routine, right? So this is, I think, pretty interesting, is that when you're working, it goes one way. So the routine is actually an expression of the why, right? It's a result of it. So that when the routine gets dropped, the why gets buried, right? You don't practice for long enough, your brain starts forgetting why you're doing stuff in the first place, which we're very good at forgetting short-term stuff. Like your brain will literally wipe something away. Something that you discovered yesterday, gone tomorrow. Unless you try and build this into some sort of system, re-expose yourself to the same thoughts over and over and over and over, to the point where you would probably think it's insane to have to hear the same thing so much. It's really, I think that's what it takes to actually remember something and to be able to focus on it. Just daily exposure. That's why people had prayer before, right? They would want to have these things just built into their brain, and the whole community would come together in order to make sure that, hey, do you remember this thing that we talked about? Do you remember this important thing we did last week? Hey, let's hear it again. Let's do it again. Let's do that same sermon again. Let's hear it one more time, right? So you go and you go through the same material over and over and over and over, because you're building it into your brain. You're trying to embody it. You're trying to just make this not into just some circuitry that's dormant in your brain and can activate when you remember it. Like if you play a musical instrument, let's say, and you just only pick that up once a year or something, and you just light up when you do it, then you forget. You're too busy. You have other stuff to do. So when you're building stuff, you go from 1, 2, 3. When you're practicing stuff, you go 3, 2, 1. So if you don't want to forget your why, don't drop your practice. And also keep on analyzing. It goes from practice and routine to analysis. And then behind that, the why is it you think about it, you reinforce, but not as often. When you're building it, you go from why, and you spend a lot of time on there. Then you align the macro and the micro so that you know that you have a well-established value, so that you can know that everything that you're doing is aligned in the same direction. And then you have analysis. Okay, now that I have these two pieces that I'm working with, now that I know about what I'm interested in, what is it that I should do? What are the steps that might get me there? Is this correct? Should I learn this? Should I go this route? Can I not learn stuff? Which is actually a lot more effective, because learning everything takes a long time to get you to where you want to go to. Then finally, you put those into a routine. So really that's what I'll most likely be doing over the next couple weeks. And I'm slowly trying to just regain some time, put in some practice before and after work, just try and get that same old routine going, remembering what it used to be like and how I'd structured it, and trying to extract what worked there and what didn't work and rebuilding it, putting some new things in there, trying to make sure that I cover as many things as I possibly can while not being scattered. So trying to make everything aligned. And I think I'll leave you with that, and then I'm actually going to do some of it after I just talked about it. So I'm going to do some work now, before I get to work again. It'll probably be another week before I can really take some time and regain some time and not have to go to work so much, and then figure out what next year is going to look like, what I'm going to focus on, what I'm trying to build. And then I will do probably, I never want to say how long it's going to take me because it's really hard to say with the amount of stuff that I'm doing. So I'll try within a month to maybe give you a little follow-up of what is it that I'll be doing, what I'm practicing. I'm also recording a bunch of other stuff for you guys, learning a tool, so learning software basically, and how you go from really clunky to making it more fluid, integrating it into what you're doing. So I'm just recording as I'm learning stuff so you can just see what it looks like. And you'll probably find that it looks no different to what you do, and that the initial stages are really as bad as anyone's, but hopefully mixed in with some good principles about learning and spaced repetition and things like that, that over time are gonna allow me to be a lot more fluid. So Artist Blueprint on hold for the moment. I think I'll go ahead and record that January and February, so I'll take some time away from work and probably from my practice again. So I'll drop everything, and probably for about a month I'll be writing and recording and testing it, putting it up here for you guys on YouTube so you can let me know what you think. And then I'll be editing and re-recording. I've recorded it once, but I really think I'm gonna re-listen to everything, and I'll just go over and record it a second time, and I'll make it better, a bit more condensed, iron out some things that are happening. Normally you always do better on the second, third, fourth try, so that's why practicing the same day is so effective, because the more that you do it, the more that you can see the mistakes and get better. So I'll probably re-record everything. I'll write a lot of new stuff for it, and yeah. If you're looking for me, it's gonna be YouTube really best that you can send me some questions. I haven't really been keeping up with comments and messages and things like that. I've just, like I said, I've dropped everything, so I will be back on that. I try and respond to everyone from everywhere. If I've missed your message, sorry about that. It's probably notifications have gone weird. Sometimes I just miss stuff, or if it's a reply to a reply to a reply, I may not be able to see that. I won't get a notification sometimes. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and as soon as we iron out the practice and get it going again, I'll be dropping a lot of stuff on both of those. So I'll see you around. Keep up the good work, keep up that practice, send me your questions, let me know what you think, let me know what you'd like to see, let me know what you struggle with. Your feedback shapes the channel, and it really helps me know what you guys need so I can deliver better content for you. Okay, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. And we're going to do this better 2017. We're going to establish the routine for videos as well. And for doing stuff and for responding to people and for making more useful stuff, we're going to establish that routine 2017 as well. Okay, see you around, and thank you.